Have you ever heard the claim that everything is just physics? For example, someone might have told you that biology is really just chemistry, chemistry is really just physics. Well, this kind of thinking was mostly taken for granted until 1974, when a philosopher by the name of Fodor published a paper called Special Sciences, or The Disunity of the Sciences as a Working Hypothesis. In this paper, Fodor doesn't try to argue the idea that physics is general. He thinks that physics, in fact, is general, that there aren't things that violate the laws of physics in the world. Physics is fundamental, it's general. But he doesn't think that means that everything just is physics. He thinks that's a mistake. And to illustrate that, he takes the example of economics. So in economics, there's a notion of a currency, and economic laws describe what happens to currencies. There's inflation and other phenomena that are described by the laws of economics. Well, in physics, you don't find any mention of currencies or of inflation or of anything like that. Instead, you find things like F equals ma, the Schrödinger equation, and so on, right? So how are these two things supposed to be bridged? Because it looks like economics is one thing and physics is another thing, right? Well, some people would say, well, look, there are bridge laws. There's a way that you can connect the economic stuff to the physical stuff. But Fodor looks at that and he says, well, it seems like kind of a stretch. Because think about currencies. Well, and currency in economics is just one concept. But if you were to try to map that into physics, if you were to try to make that into physics, well, you could have seashells, you could have American dollars, you could have gold, you could have silver, you could have basically anything. Anything could stand as a currency. And so on the economic side, you just have one concept, the notion of a currency. On the physics side, you have a disjunction, a series of ors, this or that or this or that Fodor calls wildly disjunctive. There's so many of them. In fact, it seems like it could go on forever, how many different possible things you could make a currency out of. And so Fodor says, isn't it just easier if we stop trying to pretend like a currency is really a physical concept that's just reducible to physics, and say a currency is a currency, it's an economic concept, and physics is physics has physical concepts. And currencies don't violate the laws of physics, but they aren't identical to concepts in physics. And so economics stands on its own. And for the same reason that he thinks economics stands on its own, he thinks things like biology, chemistry, psychology, and so on stand on their own. There's more to his argument, and if you want to check it out, you can read his paper, Special Sciences, or The Disunity of the Sciences as a Working Hypothesis, for free online. Just Google it. Also, feel free to comment below if you think this was a good argument or a bad argument, or what you think the implications might be. And as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. A sub would be sublime.